So the colors I'll be using today are Vineyard by Tim Holtz, Dijon by Tim Holtz, Ember, this is one of the 2020 brand new colors. I think Dijon is too, I'm not sure. Can't remember. And Sandal. So I think my primaries are going to be Ember and Vineyard, and then I'm going to add Dijon and Sandal, but we'll see. Let's see what works out. I have an idea of what I want. And so the other thing I wanted to add, you may notice this blue tape going across. So this is going to be, I'm going to experiment, well, not experiment, play with blue tape, masking tape. I'm going to mask a certain area and hopefully it stays white underneath after I'm done with the alcohol. And I've been doing a lot of tests on Yupo paper and that works, but obviously canvas, there's texture, so I need to play with different types of masking tape to see which one would actually stick within those pores, or I need to sand it completely smooth so that the masking tape sticks. But for this particular piece, I'm just going to experiment and see if this works. This type of tape works. All right, let's get started. So we're going to do, see, I want the alcohol, I want it to come off of this negative space. So what we're going to do, okay. Let's try that. So you obviously can see how the purple is very overpowering compared to the ember. Which means I need to add more ember. I'm not going to work this too much. I want to show you just, different styles. Well, we'll see about working it too much. Again, this is practice for me because I don't typically work on sizes this big. I usually work larger, but just for this purpose and to show you just some kind of techniques and styles, I'm doing this big, so it's just easier for camera. Now what I'm doing is I'm going in there and separating the color by just adding alcohol to it, and it starts bringing out all these other colors, as you can see. Hopefully this tape holds. I'm not exactly sure if it will. Not because of the ink, but because of the alcohol. Because the alcohol can, you know, it kills the stickiness of the tape. So all I'm doing is just like trying to look at the composition and imagine that there's a white line there and figure out what would look good. Let me add more of this mixed with this ember. Looks really good. Add a little bit of violet right there. So my blow dryer is set to warm. Just to give you an idea. So it dries just fast enough, not too fast, but fast enough for me to stop it and have it give me this soft look. Uh-oh. Accidentally, I don't let this dry. No worries. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give it this like soft look on the edges, almost very nature-like, something you would see very like floral, but the blending and gradation of colors and flowers, that kind of thing. So let's see. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more purple here to kind of bleed it off. I think this blue is throwing me off because it's the masking tape, so I could imagine that there's going to be white under it, I hope. Hopefully this holds up. So we're going to do that. A couple drops. All I'm doing is just moving it around, making sure that what I want to happen happens. So soft edge, remember? Just keep moving the alcohol on top and just let it dry. There we go. You don't want to neglect one area of the painting. And what I mean by that is when you start focusing on one area and you forget about the rest. Again, this is a composition, so you're looking at, you know, just the whole painting, the painting as a whole, and you want to make sure that you give the painting enough attention in all areas, not just one. And that's hard even for me. I mean, I sometimes I forget. It's common because you get infatuated with a certain area that you love and you start focusing on it versus letting versus working on the rest of all of it, you know? Okay. All right. So now I think from this particular composition, it looks good. So now I'm going to add my brushwork, as I always do. Let me add some ink to a cup. It needs to be a clean cup. Because when you start adding brushwork, you want to make sure the cup is clean when you start. You just don't want to add, ouch. You just don't want to add colors that are not in your comp. Additional colors, I mean, from other paintings. Okay. I'm just adding alcohol right now. Okay. Okay. So I'm adding just some alcohol to a cup, and I'm going to be using somewhat fine brush. I need two brushes, one that's fine and one that's not so fine. So there are my two brushes. See? Okay. I'm not going to add too much detail work to this because I'm kind of curious to know if it actually worked. Let's see. Actually, this is too big. So the blow dryer is too big for this. So what I'm going to end up doing is use my little Giotto. Not adding too much, just a little bit. I might forget I'm on camera and just keep going. So apologize for that in advance if that happens. I call these little fractures. Because they look like little fractures and cracks in glass or ice. Just little details. So remember about neglecting, so make sure you go all over the piece. I need the bigger brush. Okay, so. Can't be afraid to change things. Can't be afraid of change. That's the whole point of alcohol ink, in my opinion. It's the fact that it can change so drastically, and that's what I love about it. All I'm doing is just adding little cracks and fractures. I'm sure you could hear my kids in the background having fun. Let's see if I can use a blow dryer to move it evenly. I'm holding the back of it to reduce the airflow. I do need to get a diffuser. Just adding small little details. Go. I'm going to soften this up a bit so I have a little bit more negative space. Didn't want to do that, but accidents happen. As Bob Ross used to say, happy little accidents. Hopefully you can see the beautiful peach ember. It's like peach and orange and red orange that's happening in this painting. It's just beautiful. Okay, so now we're gonna go in here. I like some of the circle stuff that's happening here. So if you have fingers that happen, like where they just go off, before it dries, just use a brush and connect the fingers to each other, and that helps. And I can show you that in a different video. All right, so we're gonna let this dry, and I'm gonna come back and take the tape off to see if it worked, if it actually brought in, if it actually, you know, kept the paint away. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. So let's see if the tape held. Now it is alcohol and it is alcohol ink, so I'm not sure exactly if it would hold, but okay. So obviously did not, and I can show you what I mean. So you can kind of see if it shows up here on camera, but you can kind of see there's some dirty spots. See that? So I don't know, maybe I know I can clean it with a napkin and some alcohol, but since this is canvas, it's going to be really hard to get into that fine line right there and clean it. But it was a test, and it failed miserably. But again, from a distance, it's kind of cool. It is practice. You know, if I wanted to, I can kind of push the ink back in so that there's like something happening in the areas that where it looks like it's creeping in, and we could try that, or I can just try to clean it. So let me try cleaning it first, and if that didn't work, then we can go in and you know, just kind of play with moving it in and see if we can make it work. But the idea is for it to be super clean, and that's hard to do if the ink is going through or the alcohol is seeping through. It's just going to take some a lot of diligence. You could do this with a cotton swab. You could do this with a cotton swab or a Q-tip. But right now, I'm just, I don't have any on me right now. And the more coats of Kills you have, I think you're going to be better off because you'll be able to remove it cleanly. The other thing you can do is actually see like it's just bleeding at this point. So what I'm going to do, let's do this. I'm going to add ink in the middle, alcohol in the middle, and see if I can bleed it in. Just to see. It's just practice, so anything goes. Okay, so I'm adding alcohol in the middle. And for this thing, I'm going to use the blower. I want some of that fine line there, but I also want some of that color to seep through. Again, it's about the mindset of what you're trying to achieve. Like for me, this is practice. So, and I'm experimenting and I want to see what comes out of it. If I'd quit now, I would have been like, oh, you know, I'm done with this. You know, give up kind of thing. It's not about that. It's about trying different things and learning from it. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to push the ink to the center and where it's kind of softer. That's hard to do without ruining the look. So I'm gonna do one thing so I don't waste ink or alcohol, sorry. I'm gonna pour it in my little funnel. For a little bit more control with these bottles, these little bottles. Because I have a little fine point pen on it. See that? All right, let's do it. Let's, never thought this would happen, huh? From a clean edge to a completely dirty one. Let's see.
I still want to keep it fairly clean, so that's why I'm not moving too much of it. Just enough to make a difference. And I'm doing it on hot now. So it looks like it's coming from a center. I've used the green painter's tape. That's a little better. I had blue on hand at the moment and I wanted to try it on this canvas. I typically on my larger canvases, I'll sand it a million times, actually 3 or 4 times, and then go in and paint again and sand it again, paint again, use kills over and over again. So I want the center to make sense, so that's why I'm going in and just moving the ink around enough to where it doesn't look... I still want it to look like it's coming from the center, but I noticed that the paint, the tape held really well in certain areas and didn't in others. And I actually heated up the tape with a heat gun after I applied it so that I get a very clean, solid edge, but I guess that didn't work. Again, I would advise if you have nitrile or latex gloves to use them. I can't find any online anywhere, but if you have some, please go ahead and use them. I've run out and I've not been able to find any anywhere. And it's good. I mean, I try not to use my hands or touch it, but every once in a while I can't help it. See how easy it is to soften up? You're just going in and connecting some of the stuff, some of the lines together, and breaking up some of the other lines. See? You know, again, not afraid to change stuff or ruin it, because this is a learning process, even for me and hopefully for you. See how I'm softening the areas up as I go? So just push back and so if the tape did hold, it would have been nice. For this particular size, I would have probably done a thinner tape, but just learning from after I took it off, I kind of saw there's too much negative space. But it's just, you know, preference. Hopefully you're enjoying watching me move this and learning from it as I go. And you see how I'm just adding ink or alcohol where I want to move the ink and soften it. I'm not really adding it to the area of color. I'm adding it before or above or below the area of color, and then I'm just pushing it, the alcohol. There I added it to the actual area of color, but in most cases and this may look like a complete failure, and it may be to some. It's not to me because I'm I'm literally learning from it as I do this, just to see if it works, if this style or this look works. All right, so I think from this perspective, what I can do is I'm gonna go in there and just add some brushwork in the center, just to kind of bleed it in, like as it looks like it's going out from a horizon. And it's going to be on both sides, top and bottom. I want it to be more linear, horizontal, to be exact. So all I'm doing is just pushing the ink. Let's put this over here. Loading up my brush with alcohol. This may be easier with a hairdryer. I could probably just spend a lot of time adding detail work in the middle, just to kind of show the broken effect in the middle. For this particular piece, is it worth it? I don't know. It's good practice for me, but it just depends on how much time I want, what I want to learn from this. But it's good to show. I'm glad I'm doing this for you guys, to show you just kind of what I do to move the ink around. Just the fine little details in the center add to it. I'm not sure if you could see this on camera, but it's looking really cool. I'm just kind of connecting the lines of the actual piece. Now the tape is going to leave some kind of sharp line, and I think that's okay as long as I play with that line and see if I can salvage something. I'm going to use a bigger brush, preferably a flat one. You see this right here. It's a little stronger edge. I just keep going back and forth and dipping the brush into the alcohol, and then coming in and drawing my line. I'm loading it up. I don't know if you can see that right here. Kind of see, like I'm trying to do these like clouds in the center, or a mist that's stemming off the colors getting brighter as it gets to the edge. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but it's coming together. I'll show a close-up of it in a minute. And now I'm going to go in with a fine brush. Almost done. Softening these edges here. Okay. Just adding a little bit of color to this because it's kind of faded over here. So again, I'm not afraid to mess with it, right? That's the idea, to play with it and figure out what you like and what you don't like and how to move it. And you know, there's a lot to it that I'm learning as I go here. And I'm always learning, because it's always a different, it's always something different. I learn just little minute details that help me as I go through it. And you got to keep practicing, because if you don't, you forget those little minute details. So, you know. It's like riding a bike. You'll remember when you start doing it, but then you forget if you stop, and it takes time to kind of learn how to remember how you started. So I don't know if that made any sense. So here's the detail. You can kind of see how now it's just bleeding in on the edges, and that's kind of what I have. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Let's turn that off. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll take better pictures of it, and I have it on my blog. Don't forget to subscribe. It's Ascari Art. Check out my blog, ascariart.com/blog. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again. Bye-bye.